And we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Soul Survivor podcast. My name is Dylan Bird, here along with my co-host Ryan Winthrop, and we are back for another week of the podcast. Obviously, it's been a weird offseason, an extremely long offseason, and this is the first time we're back since, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at this point?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we're just trying to get as much content out there, and we've been craving news. We've been, all through the summer, through the fall now, we've been craving news, and we finally got a little bit of news that seems to be some great news for Survivor in the future. So we decided that we would dedicate this entire podcast episode to talking about that and what we could see for Survivor seasons 41 through 43. But I'm really excited to talk about this. This was definitely some good news, especially after hearing nothing for months.
No, Dylan, it's definitely exciting. I think ever since we left Winners at War, we've come on in the offseason saying to ourselves, it's still a long offseason. Let's hope what happens. Let's see what we can get in 2021. But now we might actually have some hypothetical idea of what could happen. And if everything actually comes through as expected, or like the rumors say, then I think we could be in for a really exciting new year.
Yeah, look, there's a chance that based on this new news, we could be getting a ton of Survivor within the next year. So I am extremely excited for that for sure. So, I guess we should start this podcast off by you. You want to go through the news that we got from Martin Holmes of Inside Survivor. First of all, I want to shout out Martin Holmes from Inside Survivor. This is the source that we're getting all of our information from. He's been really good with getting a lot of insider Survivor information over the years. So just want to give him a quick shout out before we go through this, these rumors here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And before we get to the article, actually, I wanted to bring up one quick thing. I know we mentioned it before, but in the past few podcasts, we've talked about, how Survivor has come to Netflix. I just wanted to really quickly mention somewhat of like a Survivor effect. Dylan, I don't know if you've seen this on Twitter, on Instagram, on Reddit, but I feel like Survivor in this pandemic with people needing things to watch, I think it's really skyrocketed and taken it off. I've seen a lot of people that I follow watching it for the first time. I've seen people that they follow watch for the first time, even minor, like, C-list celebrities and even some athletes have mentioned that they're watching Survivor. So I think this is all great news for CBS and the show, because if the show is getting a lot of traction with just these two popular seasons on Netflix, those fans, the new fans, can check out other seasons on either Hulu. I think Hulu has up to Game Changers, but they also can go on CBS All Access, and we really should have an even bigger viewer base heading into 41, and hopefully the show makes it even more exciting for the return.
Yeah, I think one thing that I have noticed on Survivor Twitter, Survivor Reddit, just reading a bunch of stuff, is that it does seem like Survivor has gained a ton of new fans over this pandemic. Yeah. So, look, it's a huge opportunity for Survivor going forward to really, have a few great seasons in a row here. So I think that these few seasons are extremely important for keeping the show going forward, especially with all these new fans. You brought them in by bringing the show to Netflix. And possibly, hopefully, we get more seasons on Netflix soon besides just 20 and 28, which I'm sure will happen. But you brought all these new fans in. Now you have to build on that and have a few exciting seasons here. So what is the news, Ryan? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So as always, we always want to credit Martin Holmes on Twitter at Redmond Survivor, who always is the one to follow for in the know Survivor news and rumors on the website Inside Survivor. And the great thing here is that we want to mention 2 points, one about the location and one about the airing of the season. So like we've mentioned before, we're desperate for Survivor over here. We really want Survivor, whether it's in Fiji, whether it's Survivor Wild West in New Mexico. We just want Survivor in some regard. But there's a possibility of another location. The show is actually considering, according to the article, potentially filming in the Caribbean, specifically in the Dominican Republic. Now, Fiji, the problem is they still have a ban on international visitors, and only possible exceptions through very extreme circumstances. But the country's still very much, I wouldn't say in lockdown, but it's very strict with travel restrictions to the country with both cast and crew. So that might not happen. Maybe with CBS's ties, it could. But they are maybe looking at the Caribbean, and it's a potential option if Fiji doesn't work as a location. So before I get to the rest of the news, Dylan, what are your first thoughts on that? We can get Survivor 41, the Caribbean.
My first thoughts are finally a new location, and I'm sure that that's the same as several other Survivor fans. Look, For me, I watch Survivor for the gameplay, not the location, but I know that location does play a big role for some people watching, especially because one of the main points of Survivor is it used to bring you to all these exotic places. Now it's just been stuck in Fiji since season 33 and beyond. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, we've been in Fiji since Millennials versus Gen X.
Right,
yeah.
right. So we've been in Fiji for, a bunch of seasons at this point. Why not switch it up? I know that there was a deal between Survivor and Fiji to keep Survivor there, I guess, through season 42-ish. But, obviously things change with the whole pandemic. And I think that this is a great opportunity to kind of turn over a new leaf. We've had a big break here, obviously. We should be towards the end of a season right now. Season 41, and instead we haven't seen Survivor since Winners at War. So I think it's the perfect opportunity for Survivor, I should say, to kind of do a big reboot, especially with all these new fans coming in, get to a new location, maybe add some elements to the game that we haven't seen before, take fire tokens to the next level, something like that. But I think a new location would be, really good way to start out that new era, I should say. So I'm excited to see new locations. Obviously, if you've been to Dominican Republic, which I have probably around 4 or 5 times, if I'm correct. It's a beautiful place, great scenery, and I think it would work out well there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think before we get to the rest of the article, touching upon the location, because like we kept saying, we don't know what Survivor can do in terms of keeping the cast and crew safe as we head into 2021. But one more thing that Martin had on his Twitter, Dylan, was, I think he tweeted this about 2 or 3 days ago, that the French series of Survivor recently wrapped up filming a new season in French Polynesia. And kind of like the NBA a little bit, Dylan, and I know you follow the NBA very closely, so maybe you could speak more to like a bubble atmosphere than I can. But Martin reports that this French series of Survivor, they took around 300 people, which includes obviously the cast, the crew, and some local workers in French Polynesia. And they lived in a health bubble during the duration of filming. And the crew was tested multiple times and was, isolated in their location. So whether we're in Fiji or whether we do end up in the Dominican Republic or the Caribbean, what do you think about if and how CBS could implement that health bubble-like situation to kind of facilitate with the filming?
Yeah, I mean, I think a bubble is going to happen no matter what. Like, even if a vaccine is available for CBS to use by the time of filming, you would think that they're going to have everyone in a bubble just as precautionary measures. And I don't know how the vaccine is going to work if like these reality TV shows are going to get like possible priority after like the first line workers and stuff like that. Like, I don't know how that's all going to work, but let's say that there is a vaccine or there isn't a vaccine. I think the safest thing is to just keep that bubble. And we've seen it done with the NBA and we've seen it done with other filming of reality TV shows. Yeah. Why not Survivor do the same thing, especially just to take precaution? Because the last thing you want is something to happen and the entire season gets canceled mid filming. So I think that they'll definitely have tons of protocols and plans in place to keep everything safe. And I think a bubble atmosphere could work. And, when you're on islands like this, it makes it a lot easier to keep that bubble atmosphere because you're not really interacting with people outside the bubble. I'm sure, I think it's actually interesting because something to think about here is we've seen a lot of rewards where you go off the premises and, possibly to hotels, possibly to villages. That's not going to happen in these right. For sure. I haven't even thought of that until right now, but that just pretty much hit me. But what they'll probably do instead is they'll probably take them to like, further down the beach and give them like big, feasts if they win a reward, something like that. Or maybe we won't even see reward challenges in general. I mean, we saw how in Winners at War, they moved away from the reward challenges a little bit. Maybe they do something with fire tokens in a substitute of reward challenges just because this whole bubble atmosphere that may be happening. So I think that there are a few things to consider here. And I think that those are some interesting things that could come up.
Yeah, you bring up a great point with the rewards. I actually didn't consider that, that, a local fisherman will help teach you how to fish, or you can go to this village to deliver school supplies. Like, those aren't going to happen if they're going to try to be safe in this bubble. So that's a really good point you brought up. And I do think that, we have seen less reward challenges because they want to focus more of the airtime on the actual gameplay, especially now with the introduction of fire tokens, like you mentioned. That could play a big role. But I still feel like we'll see rewards in some capacity, whether it's a reward challenge or an immunity / reward challenge, like they do a lot of hybrids. And I think they'll still give the castaways, because they're starving, some type of, either like the reward is pizza, the reward is steak, Chinese takeout, coffee and pastries. So we'll still see rewards to keep them, fed and whatnot. But I really do think you're right that we're not going to see any of those helicopter ride travel off locations that they used to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like thinking about the reward challenges and I'm getting like excited. Like, yeah, we're we're pretty far off from new Survivor still, but I think we're a lot closer than we may have thought.
Exactly.
I was even worried at a point that we weren't going to get Survivor in next fall, and now I think that it's definitely a possibility we could get it in the summer, because if they're filming in March, and then let's just say that they film in March, and then we didn't even get to the filming dates yet, but I mean it. Yeah, we could get 3 seasons, and I may as well just announce the other news while I'm at it here. But the other thing that was said in Martin Holmes's report was that Survivor could have back-to-back seasons for season 41, 42, 43, and air one first in the summer of 2021, and then season 42 in the fall of 2021, and then in the spring of 2022 have season 43. So I mean, we could get 3 seasons in a row. I'm getting excited just talking about this, because the thought of 3 new Survivor seasons in a row is crazy to me. I mean, we haven't had new Survivor in so long, which is crazy, and I'm happy that this could be a possibility.
Listen,
but
if you told me that this was even a possibility that we could get Survivor in the summer, because like you said, we thought, okay, we're gonna just at least hope for a season in the fall with them airing in the March or April when they film the spring. That will take what we can get. We just don't want to wait until 2022. But now with this news, we could get it even sooner. So my question to you, Dylan, is first and foremost, my thoughts went to one of 2 things. If we could possibly get a summer season, whether this is like July or August, and they're going to film in March or April, are they going to put a rush job on the editing? Like, we're going to go film, we're going to rush this into editing at CBS, and it must be done by the summer with the full 39 days? Or do you think in order to get a summer season, they might cut down the number of days, like to 30 or 29? Like, what is your first thought with us being able to get such a quick turnaround from filming in the spring to maybe airing in the summer?
Oh no, I think they still go with 39 days. I mean, there's some parts of the game you can't take away, even the rush editing. I just think that they'll film a normal timing in March, like they would normally do for a fall season, and they'll just do a faster editing job. So let's say they film from March to May, for season 41.
Mm-hmm.
It stops filming beginning of May, and then, or maybe they move up filming earlier in March than they would normally do, and let's say it ends in April. Okay, so now you're ending in April. You have from April, the middle of April, let's say, you have until then. Like, let's say you would have to think that a summer season would start in June, right? Because it needs 3 months to air, and then you're airing one in September. So you'd have roughly 2.5 probably months to edit the show. And honestly, I think it could be done. I mean, if they put enough manpower behind it, if they make sure that, if they have a plan in place to do this, then that's what it'll be. But I think that it would be, you film in early March, you go until April for season 41, that airs in June. And then you go and film right away season 42 to give yourself ample time for the fall. So you film like mid-August to like mid or end of May. And then you get that out by September to go through December, and then you air 40, and then you film 43 right after that. So that would probably be from like May or end of May or beginning of June up through July. So I think that's the way that they would do it. They would film 3 back to back to back, and then get the 3 out back to back to back. So we'd have roughly 0 breaks until the summer of 2022, which is pretty crazy. Also, I think that one of these seasons, and I know we spoke about this before on previous podcasts, one of these seasons has a potential to be returnees. And I think that it would be season 43 that ends up being the returnee season, possibly a second chance season. Now think about this. Here's another scenario we have to bring up. If they were to do a second chance, would that be possible with filming back to back to back? I don't think it would be, because, they would have no finale reveal, but you could still have people vote and still send them out there. It's just like, it wouldn't be a normal timetable. So is a second chance 2 possible is what I'm asking in this time period?
Definitely not for 41. I think given everything that's happening with all these different rules and regulations, I think we weren't even expecting it anyway, which is totally fair. If COVID never even happened, we like I've said before, Survivor follows typically like somewhat of a trend. They never have 2 all returnee seasons back to back. Like, you kind of close the book after like a Heroes versus Villains, or like a Cambodia, or like a Winners at War. So we weren't expecting returnees for 41 anyway. Now the question that you're asking is, for 42 or 43, could we see it? I see your point that it's going to be tough to do returnees in that environment. I still think it could happen around season 43. worst case 44. But I do know that a lot of these fans, especially people who are now watching the show for the first time on Netflix, obviously they want to see some new people play. Maybe they themselves want to apply, but I'm sure they want to see some of those awesome players they once saw on their screens get another chance because they are new to the show. I know when I was new to the show, when I first started watching, I did always want to see new people, but I always wanted to see, oh, I got to see Russell play again. I got to see Parvati play again. I got to see these people play one more time. So I think it's going to be tough, but I would predict right now maybe we'll get 43. We're going to get 2 new seasons of 41 and 42. I know that we talked a couple weeks ago about the new diversity initiatives at CBS. So I feel like 41 and 42, if these luckily hopefully end up in that summer fall time slots, I could see those being the newbie seasons. And then season 43, you get to the new year. It's now going to be spring 2022. We now have maybe a second chance ballot, and maybe they leave open, I don't know, they leave open 3-4 male slots, 3-4 female slots for awesome players from 41 and 42 for them to get a spot onto the ballot. That's what I'm going to predict right now.
Yeah, my only thing with that, and what I was trying to allude to, what I was alluding to before, is that if you have a vote for second chance, which is what you would think it would be because it worked out so well last time, and I think that the Survivor fan base is even greater than it was for season 31, especially with all these new fans, I think it would work out perfectly. I'm just saying, like, if you're filming 43 theoretically between like May and let's say July at some point, how are you going to have a fan vote while season 41 is going on for season 43? So that's what makes me think that the second chance 2 may not come until season 44 because if you do season 44, assuming that that's fall 2022, if you do that season 44 as second chance, then it would be on the same timetable as the first second chance, where you would have the season concluding in the spring, season 43, and then you have the fan vote, and then they go out to film right from the finale. So I think that season 44 is probably most likely. I think that Survivor may use this as an opportunity to cram in 60 new players. I think that it's a good opportunity because you'll have everything happening so fast and not a lot of time to I think it's like a perfect opportunity to just cram in as many new players as you could and kind of just start that new era off pretty fast. That's, I think, a major benefit of Survivor having 3 seasons in a row. And then I think you would get second chance 2 in, I guess, fall of 2022. And then you have a ton of those 41, 42, 43 players coming back. So I think that's what we could see. But look, any Survivor during summer would be unbelievable. And 3 seasons in a row would be unbelievable as well.
No, that would be awesome. I think you bring up a good point about the filming, and that would be tough logistic wise. I'd be curious to see how they pull it off if they can. I do know that if it wasn't for COVID and it was just, we're filming 41 and 42, I feel like they've kind of mixed timelines before. Like basically, if you remember when Cambodia was, before we saw it on TV, we were finishing up Worlds Apart. And they announced the ballots, and Mike Holloway was on the ballot. But Jeff said if he wins, obviously he's not eligible for a second chance. So then basically, I think the inside sources said Mike actually got in the top 10. But since he won, it went to the person who got 11th place in the ballot. So while I feel like filming location-wise, it's going to be tough to do that with a returnee cast. But I feel like if something's airing on TV, we still can maybe see somebody's still in contention. But if they win or whatever, we're going to remove them. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I do want to stress to anyone watching this is that we're going so many theoreticals here. This is not a definite thing. Martin Holmes report. It's just a rumor. So we may not even get a summer season of Survivor. I hope we do. But there is a chance they just go, you know what? This is cramming everything into too small of a time period. We're just going to stick to our normal schedule and not rush things. We're going to just go season 41 in the fall, season 42 in the spring. And in that case, then I think you leave more of a room for second chance 2 in one of those seasons. But then again, I still think it comes in season 43 if that's the case. But anyway, so just tons of rumors out there, but it's good rumors. I mean, it's not like we are having articles thrown at us that are like Survivor's not filming until March again. And we're like, oh, like you know what I mean? So, I mean, this is just great to see. Good news.
I will say one more thing, Dylan, and I don't subscribe to this, and I'm typically not one to analyze this stuff, but I had a dream a few nights ago. Now, I'm not somebody who likes to psychoanalyze dreams or proclaim that I can see the future, but I did have a dream a few nights ago, and I couldn't tell you if this was 41 or this is 42 or 43 or 44, but I was watching Survivor on my TV screen, and I saw in like a different outfit or a different color buff, I saw David Wright back on my TV screen, which makes me think, well, that's obviously not second chance because David's played twice before. Could we get like a fans versus favorites? Does that mean we're gonna get like another All-Stars? What does that mean if David Wright's on my screen? And then I think in a separate part of the dream, I could have sworn I saw Chrissy or something. So that's like, oh, maybe that's second chance. But hopefully one of those dreams is like a sign that the returnee season isn't as far away as 44, might be sooner. But I just remember seeing David Wright at some point. I got really excited.
One thing that I actually want to stress as well, I don't know if you've been following Dalton Ross's like series. And this is great for anyone listening also, is that Dalton Ross on Twitter, if you follow him, he has a series of articles coming out with just a bunch of just random survivors from the past. And he asks them a Q&A, and he always ends the article with, would you play again? And surprisingly, almost every single person that I have read said that they would play again. So I think that Survivor has a pretty big pool to choose from if they do have another returnee season, whenever that may be. So I'm excited for the future. That's what I got to say. But do you want to get to questions now? Because I know that we had questions coming in on Twitter, and we are going to answer them.
Yeah, I'm excited to hop into some questions. They kind of tie into what we were saying. And then if anybody's listening, you can definitely use the comment section to ask us a question live, and we'll get to it right after the Twitter questions. But the first one we have on Twitter comes from Connor Mack at ConnorMack5. He wants to ask us, do you guys think we will see some challenges related to the culture of the Dominican Republic, if not at least rewards? I feel like Cambodia's Second Chance was a great example of mixing old school with new school, fast-paced gameplay in a modern season. So I guess I would say to that, I think it's certainly possible. You know, we talked about this a lot in our last podcast when we covered Survivor filming locations, and, you know, whether it's, you know, the challenges in China with, you know, the crashing the gates or the gong or the puzzle or the stars, even Cambodia had a lot of those types of dragon themes. You even had that one where it was at night. It was the night after Jeremy Say Fishback with the Idol and Sierra went home, and they did that history challenge at night. So I think, Connor, anything's fair game. I definitely think we could see some type of Dominican Republic or Caribbean theme in the challenges. I don't know if that would tie into like a Pirates theme, like the Pirates of the Caribbean, like Pearl Islands, or maybe it would be kind of like a Cook Islands ship theme, but I think we could definitely see that.
I think that we will, but like I said before, the rewards will be in the bubble, but I think that they will bring the culture into the bubble for sure. Especially if it's a new location. I feel like they can't move to a new location and not acknowledge it. So I think that they definitely will, especially being in Fiji for so long. If they do move to the Caribbean, like you said, maybe it'll be like a Pirates of the Caribbean type thing or something like that. Any type of theme having to do with the Caribbean. Yes, I do think that will definitely be included and brought back. But moving on here to our next question, we have from Kirsten on Twitter at KOHara517. She says, do you think that if they go to the Caribbean, they will have a season with no theme and just focus on the location? I don't think that would be the case. So I think it would be a combination where there's like Cambodia, and that we just talked about in the last example, where they acknowledge the location maybe in the title, but I think that there would be some sort of theme that would go with it. I think the tribes will be not swap, but I think the tribes will be arranged based on a certain theme. And I think the contestants will be there based on a certain theme, but I think that they will definitely acknowledge the location. So I don't think that there would be no theme, but I think that they'll acknowledge the location. It'll be like a blend of both. Yeah,
I think I agree with you. I mentioned this, I think, on the last podcast, but if you look at seasons 1 through 20 and then 21 through 40, the latter half, almost all of them have some type of theme. I mean, obviously you mentioned, but there was Survivor Nicaragua, there was Philippines, there was South Pacific. Those were named after locations, but what were the themes of those? The theme of Nicaragua was like young versus old. And the theme of Philippines was you're going to have 3 tribes with 3 captains of people who were medevaced. This isn't like Survivor Samoa where there is just basically 2 random tribes. So I feel like You know what's weird? Before COVID, I would have said we would never get another, even if it was a new location, we'll never get a season without a theme this time, whether it's in the name or whether it's in the tribe divisions, like you said, Dylan. But in a weird way, I could see a small percentage chance that because this is a new location and they kind of have to just go with what they can do due to these new circumstances, it could just be, I'm not saying it like a reboot, of course. I'm not saying like 16 people in the finals. I'm not saying like a Survivor reboot like some people want, but it could be if they somehow just can't make it work with all the roadblocks, it could just be Survivor the Caribbean with no theme. But I feel like if they find a theme, they're going to make it. Like, we also talked about that once on a podcast too, where do they make the theme first or do they find the people first? And I think the best seasons focus on the cast. You don't try to make a theme and then shoehorn people in because it's just not going to make for good television. Like One World was such an interesting concept, but the cast flat. You need a really amazing cast like David versus Goliath and say to yourself, who do we have? Oh, what theme can we make around them? So I trust Jeff Probst and Mark Burnett and everyone at CBS. I trust them to look at their group of 20 people and say, all right, let's make some type of theme based on this.
One thing that I also will say is that they apparently had the casts for 41 and 42 picked out already, and they're adjusting the casts to adhere to the new diversity protocols.
Yeah,
but they are still going with several members of both those casts, I would assume. So I think that they probably have the themes picked out, right?
Yeah, no, you're completely right about that. That's a good point.
They probably have some sort of plan. So I would think that there are going to be themes for 41 and 42, even if they do adjust some of the cast members and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that we're going to get a theme. It'll be a blend of both.
I think the theme's going to draw people in. I feel like, especially with these new viewers that we're getting from Netflix, the new fans of the show, whether it's casual viewers, new super fans, whether it's celebrities, athletes, anyone who's checking out the show for the first time, they might just be excited to see a brand new season. But if they start to check out more seasons past Cagayan, past Heroes versus Villains, and they go to Hulu, CBS All Access, and then now they become well versed in the Survivor world, they might say to themselves, I want to see what new theme you guys are cooking up next. So I really do think that if they can make a theme happen, they're going to make it happen. Now, the good thing is sometimes the themes can be really complex. Like it could be like, the heroes, healers, hustlers, where it's different walks, not different walks of life, but different types of careers that you have and what personality traits you exemplify. But if they really can't find a theme, I'm sure you can easily find like a young versus old, a beauty, brain, brawn. I'm sure there's something that they could always figure out.
Yeah, for sure. Now, let me ask you one question. It's not even a question. It's just like a statement. Imagine being picked for the cast of season 41 and 42 and having to wait a year to film. That's crazy. Like, imagine having that anticipation that you're going, but you just got to wait. Everything keeps getting pushed back. You can't really tell anyone. So that's wild to me as well. So all these players are going to be they're going to be really excited and motivated once they get out there. So I think it could result in some great gameplay.
Oh, for sure. I think that number one, I think that those people, since they had to wait a while, like you said, it's like kind of like a bottle. The energy's all bottled up like champagne. And once you pop it, they're going to be ready to go. I think these people are going to be really excited to play hard, fast gameplay, especially with, how Tony was in Winners at War, and we've seen some crazy moves in Islands of the Idols, and how Rick Devens was very energetic in Edge of Extinction. I think we're in that new school era, and we're deep in the new school era. Maybe we're even in a brand new type of era where people are going to play hard, they're going to play fast, especially since they had to wait. And I really do think that it's going to only make for better TV than for us. I will say, Dylan, actually, I think it's better that they have to wait a while to play so they can actually go out and have the time of their lives, rather than the opposite, that their season filmed and they've been waiting all this time to air it and not spoil. Because I want to share something with you. I used to watch The Amazing Race. I don't watch it anymore, but right now they have a season on. It's currently the fall slot in CBS. Dylan, do you know when that season was filmed?
What was it filmed? Like a year and a half ago, probably?
November 2018.
Wow.
So basically, this has been kept on the shelves for a while, and finally, because there's nothing to air with Survivor on CBS, they've put Amazing Race in the time slot, and these people have had to wait 2 years before their season got to air. So that's much harder, in my opinion.
What was the reasoning behind that?
Again, I don't follow the show that closely anymore. I'll need to come back and let you know. But I guess they, I guess the host Phil Kogan wanted them to kind of film 2 seasons a year opposed to 1. I think they wanted to get more in line with Survivor's type of back-to-back filming schedule. And I guess they started doing it like in 2018, and they had all the time slots for CBS figured out for 2019 and 2020. And I guess with the lack of Survivor, they thought, oh, we have this one on the shelf that we haven't done yet. Let's just put it in its place.
That's crazy. I mean, like, just think about that. I'm graduated now from Penn State. I was a junior, first semester junior when that filmed, and now it's first airing around now. So that's crazy. Now, before we head off for the night, I do want to give anyone in the comments potential. And if you want to ask a question, feel free to. But while we wait on questions to come in, I want to give a shout out to Naomi's Survivor account on Twitter at TracyHW_fan. Sent us a picture today that we are the number 3 podcast that she listened to number 3 podcast that she listened to in 2020. So thank you, Naomi, for listening to us, and thank you to all the viewers that have really catapulted us in the year of 2020. I mean, we were a new podcast. Me and Hef started it up in 2019 in the fall, and we didn't really do anything on it. We did absolutely nothing with YouTube. We basically first started YouTube up mid-Winners at War, and next thing we knew, we had 360 subscribers on YouTube. So that was absolutely great to see. So I want to thank everyone for the support, everyone listening out there. It really makes this a lot of fun. So,
yeah, I want to echo what Dylan said. I really appreciate all the support that everyone has given us. My favorite part, I say to Dylan all the time, my favorite part, isn't seeing a super high subscriber count. It isn't seeing a million comments. My favorite thing is coming on live, whether it's after the episode or in this off season, and seeing live comments just flow in so they can interact with us during the show. That's just my favorite part, is the audience interaction and getting to talk with like-minded Survivor fans. So it's been thank you. My screens. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, sorry.
It just froze for like a second. But we're good now.
Okay. Long story short, just wanted to quickly say that Dylan mentioned before that we have exciting things happening in 2021. So we're really looking forward to that once Survivor gets back on the air. Some great things happening from the podcast. Maybe we'll see a season in the summer, which is a first for all of us. Maybe we're going to see the return of Hef in some regard if he has time. There's a lot of potentials in the new year, so I'm really excited for it. And thank you for all your support.
Yeah, and if you ever have any ideas on how we can improve our show, things we should add, feel free to tweet at us or reach out to us, because we're really looking forward to getting to it. Possibly in the summer, possibly in summer 2021 to start.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to continue with our recap shows on Wednesday Night Live. We have a plan to possibly do a second show for the week, but we'll get more into details for that when the time comes. Also, we want to get a bunch more guests on, former survivors. So if you have anybody that you want to see on the show, feel free to reach out to us and suggest, and we'll try to see what we could do.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all we have for tonight, but looking forward to talking some more Survivor in a few weeks. And who knows, maybe we'll even have some more Survivor news to talk about.
Listen, I didn't think we were going to get this news. I think this came in like a week or two ago. By the time, because I know we're on a bi-weekly schedule. So for all we know, when we come on in the next week or two, we might get a whole new thing about this is the theme. This is the cast. So if they're going to try to get that airing happening in the spring, as the rumors from Redmond state, we should hopefully see in the next 2 or 3, 4 weeks some type of more concrete news about what we actually will see, and that we could speculate for hours about.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's all we got tonight. You want to end it on our normal note?
Yeah, let me see if I can capture everything that you normally state. If I leave anything out, let me know. But basically, you can follow us on Twitter. We are on Twitter at Soul Survivor Pod. You can follow Dylan more in depth on Survivor, and also all things sports at sports_bird. Is that correct?
Yes, sports_bird, BURD. You could also follow us on Instagram at Soul Survivor Pod. We aren't posting a lot on Instagram right now, but we will once the season starts. Be sure to like this video. It really helps us out a lot. Be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you aren't already. And grab your torches, head back to camp.
Good night.